va recevoir une invitée très impliquée, notamment dans les valeurs humanistes. Elle tente de défendre le pays d'Israël et ce, à plusieurs niveaux. Elle est chanteuse, elle a même participé à l'Eurovision en 2009 pour Israël. Mais aujourd'hui, elle ne vient pas parler de chansons, mais bien de combat. Parce qu'en Israël, aujourd'hui, une réforme judiciaire inquiète beaucoup les citoyens. Cette réforme, on en parlera. On va surtout parler de la démocratie. Est-elle menacée ou non en Israël?
Et Olivier Boulenc, juste après. De retour dans les visiteurs du soir, on va poursuivre sur l'actualité. Olivier Boulenc avec ces manifestations qui ne faiblissent pas en Israël et qui trouvent une certaine résonance ici à Bruxelles, Olivier.
Et oui, aujourd'hui ont lieu deux événements organisés à Bruxelles. Le premier s'est tenu place Schuman. Il se tenait contre la réforme juridique prévue par le gouvernement de Benjamin Netanyahou. Une réforme qui menace l'état de droit dans le pays. Le deuxième est une conférence au Parlement européen. Cette conférence portait contre l'enlisement du processus de paix dans le conflit israélo-palestinien.
Merci Olivier Boulenc. Et pour en parler ce soir, Catarina, une invitée qui nous vient de très très loin.
Noah, de son vrai nom, Achinoam Nini, est une chanteuse israélo-américaine. Elle est née à Tel Aviv, mais sa famille a émigré aux États-Unis. Elle s'est installée à New York, mais finalement à 17 ans, elle décide de retourner en Israël pour y faire carrière, notamment dans la musique. Noah, elle est connue pour défendre les valeurs humaines, pour militer pour le droit des femmes, mais aussi le droit des enfants, militer pour la paix, bien sûr, et surtout s'intéresser aux relations israélo-palestiniennes. Elle a représenté Israël à l'Eurovision, c'était en 2009.
Bonsoir Noah.
Bonsoir.
Merci beaucoup d'être avec nous. On va faire cette interview en anglais quand même pour que vous puissiez comprendre ce qu'on a à vous dire. Noah, vous sentez qu'il se passe quelque chose aujourd'hui en Israël, quelque chose d'inédit, voire même quelque chose de dangereux. Noah, do you feel something is going on today in Israel? Is it something new? Are you afraid of it?
Well, yeah, it's something new in the sense that hundreds of thousands of people are out in the streets today, all over Israel. Saturday night, we had 650,000 people demonstrating in a country of 9 million. You know, that's a lot of people. I was there, of course, with my family, my parents, my friends, everyone in the streets. The reason for these demonstrations, as you might imagine, as you can see in the pictures behind you, you said it's a judicial reform. It's not a judicial reform. It's an anti-democratic coup, really, that will turn Israel de facto into a dictatorship, because it will create a situation whereby there will be no way to control the government. The government can do anything they want. There will be no checks and balances. Israel is not a democracy like other countries, like the United States or Canada, even though that's what the government is trying to say. We are like, no, it's a lie. We don't have the second house. We don't have state legislature. We don't have a constitution, which is probably the biggest problem. And so the only thing, a barrier between the ruling party and the people is the Supreme Court. And this coup is meant to actually weaken, or you would say dismantle the power of the Supreme Court, so which leaves the citizens extremely vulnerable to anything that any whim that the government might come up with, which is dictatorship.
So it's bigger than just a judiciary reform. Is it... How do you say? Is the Israeli democracy at stake today?
Oh, yes. Yeah. The Israeli democracy is in danger. It's really serious. It's much more serious than I would say maybe some people imagine. And that's actually why I'm here, because I think that many people around the world really don't understand the gravity of the situation in Israel.
Especially like leaders of the Western world, when we see like the relations between like Benjamin Netanyahu and other leaders like Joe Biden or Emmanuel Macron or other leaders, like... Do you think we are not realizing what's happening right now?
Est-ce qu'on ne réalise pas ce qui se passe aujourd'hui, Noah?
Well, first of all, Netanyahu was now going on his tour of countries. He was accepted very coldly by everyone. I think he should not have been accepted at all, but he was accepted coldly. Everywhere he went, there were demonstrations of people that were there to speak out against him. But I think what's really important to understand is why this matters to you. Because there are problems all over the world. Ukraine is having a terrible war. The world is involved, but the world is involved and not involved. We try to respect what's going on in other countries, but then we have to understand we are one community and everything affects everyone. In Israel's case, it's particular. First of all, we know Israel far outweighs its size. You know, its impact on the world is it's a tiny little country
very
which has
small country.
with a huge impact, like a chihuahua, but really huge impact. Maybe because of the three monotheistic religions, Jerusalem, but not only, it's the only democracy in the Middle East. There are a lot of things because of the story of the Jewish people, etc. But I think the things that happen in Israel really do affect the world in many ways. And one is, of course, every democracy that collapses threatens all democracies. And if we look at the demise of democracy like a virus in some way, a self-imploding virus, it's contagious. When it happens someplace, all of a sudden it rises in other places. In Europe too.
Yeah, in Hungary, in Poland.
Exactly. And so that's why we have to work to mitigate it everywhere. So people who care, a country who cares about their democracy should care about the other democracy.
Oui, on disait que ça se passait aussi en Europe, jusqu'en Hongrie, jusqu'en Pologne, et que finalement cette actualité a aussi une résonance jusqu'ici, jusqu'en Belgique. Et Noah nous expliquait pourquoi ça devait intéresser justement les gens qui nous regardent. Catarina.
Moi, j'aimerais rebondir sur la photo. You said we are one, but do you think those people could do the difference, make a difference or not?
Of course. First of all, those people are me.
Oui, est-ce que ces gens-là qu'on voit derrière, est-ce que ces gens-là peuvent faire la différence?
But I mean,
Democracy is still alive today.
Est-ce que la démocratie est toujours en vie aujourd'hui, Noah?
I want to say, first of all, that it's incredible to see the democratic display of Israel, of Israeli society. This is the most positive thing about it. Going in Kaplan, in Tel Aviv, where the main 300,000 people every Saturday. Now, last night, in the middle of the night, when Netanyahu fired Gallant is our Secretary of Defense. Yes. When the Minister of Defense said we have to stop this dangerous legislation, Netanyahu immediately fired him just like a dictator would. And so hundreds of thousands of people spontaneously came to the street. This is an amazing display of democracy. But it's not enough, not yet. I want to make a very important point also about the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, because this is a very important point.
We will speak about it. On va en parler aussi du conflit israélo-palestinien, mais juste avant ça, just before that, sure. Noah, nous observons aussi aujourd'hui le gouvernement israélien le plus à droite de l'histoire d'Israël, avec un Benjamin Netanyahou au pouvoir. S'il était en face de vous, qu'est-ce que vous lui diriez au Premier ministre Netanyahou? We're witnessing today, Noah, the most right-wing government in the history of Israel, with this powerful Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. If he was standing in front of you today, now, what would you say to him?
Who, Netanyahu?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that you have to leave. You have to step down and leave Israel alone. You have done so much damage to Israel. I really think that he should have the decency to understand if he cares about Israel, he should leave. He should step down from office and let the Israeli society and government recover from 25 years of his regime, which have brought us to the time we are now.
Alors Catarina, il y a les manifestations aussi, on a beaucoup parlé, mais ce n'est pas aussi la seule raison de la venue de Noah et d'autres intellectuels ici en Belgique.
C'est vrai que depuis quelques mois, on entend parler de ces manifestations, mais le conflit israélo-palestinien en lui-même, il a vécu un regain de violence qui est assez considérable. Le conflit semble en fait aspirer dans une nouvelle spirale de violence. La semaine dernière, 4 Palestiniens, dont un adolescent, ont été tués par des tirs israéliens à Jenin, au nord de la Cisjordanie occupée, et 18 personnes ont été blessées par balle et hospitalisés. Un nouveau drame qui survient dans ce contexte, je le disais, de violence exacerbée. Et c'est vrai que d'ici, on ne peut pas s'empêcher de faire le lien entre le gouvernement le plus à droite, vous le disiez, qu'Israël ait jamais connu, et ce regain de violence. Mais on a reçu des spécialistes ici qui nous disaient attention, il ne faut pas faire le parallèle, il ne faut pas faire de comparaison comme ça trop hâtive et trop maladroite. Ces violences, elles ont vécu et elles ont existé sous n'importe quel gouvernement en Israël.
De gauche,
ce sera intéressant,
parfois,
et de gauche aussi. Ce sera intéressant d'en parler avec notre invité. Il faut juste savoir que depuis le début de l'année, donc janvier ici 2023, le conflit a coûté la vie à 84 Palestiniens, 12 civils et 1 policier israélien.
Merci Catarina pour toutes ces informations. Noah, vous qui vous battez pour la paix, je ne sais pas depuis combien d'années, parce que c'est vrai qu'on connaît aussi la chanteuse Noah pour cet engagement. Est-ce qu'on a déjà été aussi éloigné de la paix? You've been fighting for peace for so many years.
Yes.
Have we ever been so far from peace today?
I know it sounds a bit crazy, but I want to be optimistic. Yeah, because sometimes
it's you are.
Yeah,
optimistic.
we have to be. Maybe because there are many analogies to this. Sometimes it's darkest before the light comes, or it's the most painful before the baby is born. I have 3 children, so I know very well. But I think that maybe it was important for us to reach this very low and terrible point, so that Israeli society could no longer ignore the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Because one of our biggest problems that many people in Israel, because our lives are sort of comfortable, we just don't want to see. what's going on over there.
Not my business.
Except for people like me and my friends who are more activists, you know, we're there, and there are some groups that are really fighting all the time. But now we cannot ignore. I think that everyone is aware that the judicial coup, the point of it is to make it possible for the government to do what they want in the occupied territories. And this is a danger, not only for Israel, and for the Palestinian people who will remain defenseless, really, but also for the stability of the entire Middle East. And that's what makes it the world's business. It comes back to what I was saying before. The world does not want an unstable Middle East. And this is endangering the stability of the entire Middle East.
On a parlé aussi, Noah, de certains personnages de la vie politique israélienne. On a beaucoup parlé d'Itamar Ben-Gvir, par exemple, mais plus récemment encore, on a cité ce nom, Bezalel Smotrich. Oui, je vois déjà votre tête, qui a dit que les Palestiniens, tout simplement, n'existaient pas. Alors, qu'est-ce que vous en pensez, Noah? Noah, we talk about some of these politicians, like Itamar Ben-Gvir as one of the most famous, but there is also Bezalel Smotrich, who said that the Palestinians don't really exist. What do you think about it?
I don't even want to, you know, it's ridiculous to say that people don't exist. You know, I mean, it just clarifies how unacceptable and inept these people are to rule a country. In my opinion, the demonstrations should only stop when this Israeli government is dismantled. We go to new elections. And
Again?
Oh, yes, we need new elections. We need Netanyahu has to go on trial. He is on trial. He has to go take care of his legal business. And he has to leave Israel alone. This man is on trial, and he's going to choose the judges. I mean, come on, that's a dictatorship. He has to leave and go take care of his judicial issues, legal issues. And we need a government that works for the people, you know, that represents the large, broad Israeli society and works first for peace. Because without peace, there will be no security and no stability.
About this phrase, Palestinians don't really exist. À propos de cette phrase, comme quoi les Palestiniens n'existeraient pas, c'est une phrase donc d'un ministre israélien. Est-ce que ces paroles sont répandues finalement, dans la société israélienne? How widespread are these thoughts in Israel society?
No, they're not. You know, I think that maybe I can represent Israeli society better than Smotrich. He represents a very small minority in Israeli society that has come to power because, unfortunately, a coalition of interests, of sinister interests, of ultranationalists, of people trying to evade going to jail, of corruption, of messianic forces, all of these, and many mistakes made by the left, the center left. We got this unfortunate situation. It does not represent the majority. The majority is what's in the streets now. These are the majority. By the way, in the demonstrations, you see religious people, you see people from the settlements, you see people from all
young people.
From the Likud. Oh yeah, from the Likud and the center. Why? Because we are fighting first for our democracy. Democracy is a shared value, and for the sake of this of messianic issues, they want to destroy democracy. So you have a broad Israeli public who does not accept this view of Smotrich, who we understand we have a Palestinian people. We need to solve our problem with them as soon as possible.
On en parle de... Vous vouliez intervenir, Catarina, il nous reste quelques minutes.
C'est sur un autre sujet, but I really want to know what is your solution today. So in the demonstration,
Alors peut-être justement par rapport à ça, j'allais dans ce sens-là, donc ça tombe bien, Catarina, parce que c'est vrai qu'on parle beaucoup des possibles solutions à ce conflit israélo-palestinien. Il y a toujours ce terme de solution à deux États qui revient souvent comme justement peut-être le point d'arrivée peut-être de cette résolution de conflit. Est-ce qu'on en parle encore finalement de cette solution à deux États en Israël? About the two-state solution, are we still talking about it in Israel?
Oh yes. Yeah. Look. Frankly, I do not see another solution. I mean, I know there's two options really. It's either one state or two states, right? Because the things that Smotrich is suggesting are not things that I even want to talk about. He's talking about awful and horrible things that do not represent my people in any way. It represents a small and dangerous minority. The more normal, I would say, sane solutions are either to include all people in one country, and then we would have a horrible problem of identity. What is the identity? What is the language? What is the religion? What is the essence of this country? It would be a conflict for eternity, and I don't think it would ever work.
But what could be the role of Europe, of United States? Because today in the demonstration you said we need some help, we need your help. What kind of help can we?
C'est ça, quel est le rôle finalement, quel est notre rôle, quel est le rôle de ces institutions européennes, même des États-Unis aussi dans cette
first, I think, and this is what I also said in the conference and everywhere, that the government of first the United States, the first one should be Joe Biden. He's already started to say it, but he should say it more. that it is unacceptable to the United States and to Europe for that Israel would go in this direction, and we cannot conduct business as usual. You don't have to say more than that. We cannot conduct business or philanthropy, because so many of the Jewish community is supporting. No, not philanthropy and business cannot be conducted as usual with this government. The government needs to know that if they continue with this coup, they are hurting Israel terribly. And all these people out there with the flags, they are the true patriots who love Israel and care for it. And that's why they say stop. The international community should say stop, and we can make a change in this way. We are already, what has happened in the last 24 hours has shown that these demonstrations are effective.
Merci Noah, thank you
Merci
very
à
much.
vous.
Toda Rabba.
Toda
Noah,
Rabba
merci
Lachem.
beaucoup
Toda,
d'être
toda,
passé sur
toda.
ce plateau. C'est toujours intéressant aussi d'entendre finalement cette voix qui nous vient de très très loin, mais qui nous parle de choses aussi qui sont finalement très très proches. On
And
l'entend
we'll be
donc.
happy to have you for your artistic work.
Yeah, next time.
On
La
sera ravis
prochaine
de vous
fois.
accueillir en chanson.
Voilà, on
Whenever you
sera
want.
ravis. Une
Aussi.
situation aussi évidemment qu'on ne manquera pas de garder à l'œil sur LN24. La suite.